We were almost out of chicken feed and had library books to return, so we went thrifting yesterday. And look at that painting of the cabin. I like that one. I think it's actually a print, but I don't discern, and my budget honestly runs more towards prints. This is one of those shops that I hardly ever stop at because it's out of the way and it has an odd feel to it. There's a lot of new merchandise mixed in with the secondhand stuff, and this used to be a Goodwill, and I'm racking my brain trying to remember what it was before it was Goodwill. Might have been a Roth's IGA. They had VHS tapes, 5 for $1. My kids have so many VHS tapes. And look at this little ottoman. I was kind of seriously tempted by this because my legs are short and my feet don't quite hit the floor if I'm sitting straight up on the couch. And I could totally use a little stool like this with storage inside, but for $12 and with a busted hinge, no, this wasn't going to be the one I brought home. There are a couple skeins of really nice lamb's pride worsted weight wool in here. That's expensive yarn, and at 99 cents a skein, that's a great price. There's a Knit Picks wool of the Andes. Neither of those were in a color I needed, so I was good and left them behind. Just because there is gorgeous yarn, store quality yarn at a good price doesn't mean it has to come live with me, or at least that's what I keep telling myself. Do you remember Daisy Kingdom? There is something just so distinctive about their designs. I've got a little of it in my stash that came from scrap bags. I don't know what I will ever do with it. Part of me thinks I'll put it in a baby quilt, and part of me just can't get past those bunnies and bears. Do you think that's a trend that we'll ever cycle back to? These brass wall plates have been catching my eye. Mom had them over the couch in the living room when I was growing up, and I don't know why they're catching my eye lately. Behave, what happens today is on Facebook tomorrow. Who are we threatening with that? Always have to stop and look at the vintage packaging just to see what it is. And I did find something actually vintage in the shop, which most of their stuff is newer household stuff. They caught my eye. They were kind of cute. Not something I can't live my life without. And on the bottom, it says they are handmade by Miss, I think it was Polly. Here's more vintage packaging. This one wasn't in English. Is that a cookie press? Maybe? Something for the kitchen. I am fascinated by bears lately. Not cute little teddy bears, but rustic bears I could put on my fireplace. Here is a bell with a nativity scene on it. And I just totally lost my train of thought. I'm always trying to, oh, there we go. That's what I wanted to show you. I don't know. Is this a relish dish? It's a kitchen dining room thing, but I'm thinking on my table in my sewing room, something like that would be awesome for pins and needles. Okay, if you know what this building is, will you please tell my youngest son, because he thinks he should recognize it and he doesn't. And it's driving him nuts. And if you just saw that gold frame we scrolled by, that would have been exactly the right size for my pyramid of skulls cross stitch. This shop is out of my way, but dang it, I'm going to have to go back next week and see if they still have it and how much they want for it, because that piece deserves a fancy frame. This landscape has been embellished with glitter, and it is the most unnatural shade of green ever. And I just want to find the person who did this and ask them why, and if they were happy with the results, and if they kept it for a long time before they donated it, because I'm fascinated by this thing. This is the Teen Challenge thrift store. They've got their children's books 10 for $1. My children are too old for these books, but I'm still glad to see that there are still shops where your kids can come out with an armload of books for not much money, so you don't have to think too hard about what the books cost. My oldest son collects these Fright Time books, so that one went home for him. And I can't not look at the children's books. It's the homeschooler in me or something. I'm still going to bring them home if I find awesome ones, and I don't know why. That is the weirdest resin pig I have ever seen. And I don't know why. Something about it. It's icky. I don't know why it's icky. There's another one of those plates. You know, I'm going to find one at an estate sale at a buy the bag day, and it's going to come home and it's going to go on my wall, and I'm not going to be able to explain to my husband why it needed to be on our wall. A collection of really cute little girls in dresses that are actually bells. I am not looking for the needlepoint and cross stitch from that estate sale, I promise. This place is 3 blocks down the same road as the store where we buy the chicken feed, so it just makes sense to stop. These blue salt and pepper shakers, wouldn't those be pretty on a tablescape and remind me I do not do tablescapes? Even the backside of this old Franklin sewing machine was gorgeous. And look, it's got the pin cushion on the front. I really think that somebody used this and loved this. And I have enough sewing machines. There was no price. I didn't even look. Did look at the old organ because we briefly had one of these for about 30 seconds when I was a kid. Something Grandma must have bought to resell, and we got to play with it, and it made all the funky noises, and wish I could have provided my own kids with that experience for a while, but it never happened. This is the corner where they will have craft stuff if they have craft stuff. It seems like every time I come here, I find a couple of magazines that I didn't already have, and they're 10 for $1 here, so it's a good place to look. This is a Just Cross Stitch. I have never seen that cover before. I have a lot of Just Cross Stitch in my stash, but that is one I am positive I have never seen. And here's another one. And another one. And another one. In this messy pile of magazines, I just kept pulling them out one after the other. And I see lots of cross stitch and country crafts. I don't see Just Cross Stitch nearly as often. There's some others like Stitcher's World that I never ever see, but finding those in there, and I could see buried that it looked like there were more of them, so I just kept digging. And there's a Teresa Wentzler pattern. I do have a copy of that one at home already, but it was still fun to find at the thrift store. And I was going to say that if you don't wind up sitting on your butt in the thrift store digging through the craft stuff, that you're no fun, but I know that some of us can't sit on our butt on the floor in the thrift store, and honestly, the floor in this place was filthy, but look at that. That is a Paula Vaughn pattern. And that is not a Paula Vaughn pattern, but oh my gosh, that is going to be one of my mania starts. Again, not a Paula Vaughn pattern, but it has everything I love about her patterns. I don't know how I feel about these creepy bunny family people things, but they came home with me while I think about whether I want to stitch them or not. I was having so much fun sorting through these. On the filthy floor of one of the dirtier thrift stores I go to, and it was crowded, but I don't care because look at that chicken. I knew I was going to go home and take a shower and change my clothes anyway, so little honest dirt never hurt anybody, I guess. There are so many magazines here that I am positive that I did not already have at home, and once I confirmed that they were 10 for $1, I did not flip through them. That is my favorite cross-stitch magazine ever, and I'm going to do a video about it explaining why. I have no words. I'm Michelle from Michelle's Romantic Tangle. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know, would you have brought this stack of magazines home? I think I wound up with 33 of them.